Hi everyone, welcome to another Fragment Friday. This week I am reading from Infinite Days by Rebecca Mizell, I think is how you say it. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. I finished this book earlier this week, absolutely loved it. I'll have a review coming soon for it, as well as hopefully a guest post from Rebecca, because I didn't have a chance to finish reading it this weekend. This past weekend, I unfortunately couldn't get stuff to Rebecca quick enough, so hopefully soon we'll be having a little bit more fun with Infinite Days. But I wanted to share with you a quick fragment from it. So we're going to be jumping around a little bit in the book because I wanted to give you the two different perspectives that we get from the book. So the first part starts off that Lena is at the boarding school in present day, and she is hanging out with some kids from her boarding school at the boat that one of them owns. The Enos, E-N-O-S, Justin and Roy and several others, their four brothers, are, they're the popular boys in school. And their three girlfriends are called the Three-Piece. That's mentioned in here, as well as Justin's the one driving the boat. It's their family boat. So we'll be giving you that perspective. That's where we start off, and then we will jump back to Scotland in 1850, when Lena is a vampire. So she's human the first part, and then she's a vampire the second part. So here we go. And also very cool, the cover sparkles. I don't know if you can really tell, but it's all pretty. So here we go. Okay. Justin had dropped an anchor into the water. He readied the snorkeling equipment. He turned around with a red plastic mask hanging from his hand. "Wow," he said, and his eyebrows raised. His eyes traveled up and down my body. I tried my hardest not to pose. Justin turned away rather quickly. He fiddled with clear masks, blow tubes, flippers that looked like those in fish tanks and had seen in museums at the beginning of the century. Justin laid them out on top of the small cooler. His feet were strong. They held his frame well, and they were tanned from the sun. Roy Ennis, who had a smaller head and a slimmer face than Justin, was treading water. He called to his brother back at the boat. "Throw me those slippers, Justin," he said, and rolled onto his back so he was floating. I looked down over the boat and realized there wasn't much of an ocean below us at all. We were in a harbor, and when the trees swayed in the wind, I could see some of the familiar red brick buildings of Wickham. The harbor was like an alcove just parallel to Wickham Beach. I could specify beads of sand and blades of grass, but I tried to forget about my vampire sight. So I focused back down on the water. Most of the girls were standing on their tiptoes. Tony was doing a headstand next to Tracy. Claudia, the smallest of the three-piece, swam around the boat wearing a snorkel mask. She peered down into the 5 or 6 feet that were directly below. Ah, yes, I thought, snorkeling in action. "You know you have to jump in that wet stuff, right?" Justin asked. "I know," I said casually, and came out from underneath the protection of the awning over the driver's seat. The sun washed over my back and shoulders when I leaned forward to peek back at the water. Tracy arched her back and bent backwards, dipping her hair into the water. Wasn't I supposed to be the beautiful one here? I felt my stomach tighten. Instinctively, I placed my palms over my belly. I was still surprised my body reacted this way. That the muscles would link the muscles were linked to my emotions. Usually this is fun. I didn't know you were afraid of boats, Justin said, and lifted his right foot in order to prepare to step up and stand on the edge of the boat. I'm not afraid of boats, I said, and dropped my hands. Sure you're not, he said, smiling in a devilish, challenging way. But before I could even begin to defend myself, Justin stepped up onto the rim of the boat. I watched his knees bend and the bottom of his feet press into the wooden rim. He pushed up high off the boat. Before he hit the water, he flipped so that he did a somersault in the air, and then splashed into the water so the spray came up high over his head. What on earth could be the point of that? Those in the water laughed and clapped. Seemed a bit useless to jump for sheer amusement. My turn, Roy said as he swam back towards the boat. Don't crack your head, Justin said to Roy. Be careful. Much to my surprise, by one they all somersaulted off the boat. Why didn't I want to jump? Other people seemed to find such happiness in it. I turned away from the acrobatics and walked up to the bow. I sat down with my feet dangling over the edge. Behind me there were more happy yelps and splashes, but I focused on the small waves splashing against the boat's underbelly. Even though I was wearing my floppy hat, I could still feel the sun shining down on me, heating me up. I glanced back to see Roy, then Justin somersault in perfect circular movements off the boat. He was something, wasn't he? To be able to do that in the bright of day. Okay, now we're to Griven, Scotland in 1850, and Lena is now a vampire again. Going back and forth a little bit through history. That's one of the fun aspects I liked about the book. So this is one of those turning moments for her. So I thought it was kind of a fun moment to share with you. It's just a couple pages here. And she is in the point of building her clan. Vickin is the last vampire she turns. And so this is the night that she's going back to get him. She meets him at a pub the night before, and then that she makes him the proposal, and now she's going back. The next night, I approached the main manor. Through the window, I saw Vickin eating dinner with his family. Long white candles decorated both sides of the table. There was an open animal carcass and various bowls of greens. Vickin's father sat at the head of the table, and Vickin was seated directly to his right. His father, a great round man with thickets of white hair, laughed heartily and took Vickin's cheek into his palm of his right hand. The family anguish rose in my throat. I hated families. So often the sadness made me enraged enough to murder. So I would kill whoever could possibly remind me that my family was the life that I left behind. Why didn't I want to kill this man? Why did I want to leave him in the confines of his house with his mother and father and a collection of maps? Had I dared to find another that I loved besides Rode? Yes, he would be free, I decided. As I turned from the window to rejoin my coven at the inn, I caught Vickin's eye. He shot up from the table and ran after me, but I hurried down the dirt path, away from the ocean and back towards the main road. Wait! I changed my mind. You're free, I said, turning to him in the middle of the path, on the other side of me were the tall trees. You were right. You're the first man I've ever allowed a choice. Go back inside with your family. Vickin walked up to me so fast I was surprised for a moment that he was only human. He placed his hands on my cheeks. I don't want that, he said, so passionately that he was gritting his teeth. I've let them go. I don't want to be here, die here, and see nothing else of the world. What is it then? What do you want? I asked. Bacon grasped both my shoulders so passionately I didn't move. He took a deep breath. You, he said, almost panting. Just you. I looked deep into his eyes and saw such a need in his gaze. He needed me. I looked down at the strong muscles of his neck and shoulders and then back up at his eyes. He leaned forward, lightly grazed his lips over mine. I took a deep breath just so I could smell his flesh. There was that smell again, musk and salt. Soon it would run through me. It is done, I said, opening my eyes. I grasped onto his wrist and led him away from the manor. You will be joining the ranks of vampires so ancient in history that no one knows of our origins. But you will be powerful, beyond your imagination. I walked towards the woods beyond the small cottage. Will you be there? He asked. I took his hand into mine. Always. Perhaps Wiccan fell in love with me because of my vampire presence. I don't know. I'll never know. Rode once told me that the aura of a vampire is so powerful that most men are disillusioned without knowing it. I can assure you that when I took him into the woods behind the cottage, he was holding my hand, and when I bit into his neck, he was looking up at the stars. So there you go. Infinite Days by Rebecca Menzel. Or Menzel. Sorry. So hope you guys enjoy and you pick up your copy. It's out now with its sparkly, wonderful cover. Yay! Woo! Okay, and the back's sparkly too. Anyway, so hope you guys enjoy, and don't forget to stop by Book Chic Club's blog, James's blog over there, and see all the other great Fragment Fridays. Thanks!